Tell us, Mason Mount, then, because it's all eyes on him in that first 45 minutes. How did he get on?
Yeah, it was solid enough. I thought he was busy throughout the game, or the 45 minutes he was on, because Erik Ten Hag played two very different 45 minutes in terms of his starting lineup and then the lineup he brought on at half time. And I thought Mount was okay. I mean, he took every corner, every free kick. He tried to be involved as much as he could. He did nearly score after about 20 minutes, tried an audacious chip from about 25 yards out. Which just floated over the top of the crossbar. But I thought it was okay. I mean, considering it was his first pre-season game for a new club, I thought he was trying to make an impression.
Where did you play, Ian? Did you play as an 8?
Yeah, he played in the centre of midfield, just behind. I mean, it was a very unfamiliar front three, but I mean, it was one whereby obviously all the international players are still away, so I presume that when they next play, I think they're playing next Wednesday, their second pre-season game in Glasgow. I think that will be a very different side. You'll see the likes of Bruno Fernandes back and Marcus Rashford back. But yeah, no, I thought he did okay. I thought it was, as you say, all eyes were on him. It was his big. The stage was largely his, although I think Jadon Sancho was. People were looking at him as well, but largely it was all down to all the eyes were on Mason Mount. So I thought he did okay.
I remember, I saw a quote, I should say, from Erik Ten Hag yesterday where he said Mason Mount will bring dynamism into that midfield, something that he felt that they identified that they were missing from the team last season. Do you think that is the case and that's what he's going to bring?
Eventually, yeah, I do. I mean, it was really hard. You know, this is pre-season gets underway, and the first friendly or first couple of friendlies, it's I think it's always hard for players to really kind of show what they're going to do throughout the whole season. I mean, I was at the game last night afterwards between Bournemouth and Brentford, and there were a couple of players who I thought did really well for Brentford, especially Keane Lewis-Potter, who was injured for pretty much the whole of last season. So, you know, I think it's hard for players to show, but I do think that, you know, if I compare and contrast Mason Mount with Jadon Sancho yesterday, I'd be much more encouraged going into the season of what Mason Mount is going to offer Manchester United than what Jadon Sancho did. I thought for a player who, you know, I don't want to say he's in the last chance saloon at Manchester United, but I think his number of chances is going to be, you know, running out pretty soon. I was really disappointed in the 45 minutes he put in yesterday compared to Mason Mount. So yeah, I do think Mount will bring a lot of energy, enthusiasm, dynamism was the word you use. Absolutely. When the season starts, I would expect that from him. You know, it's what we saw at Chelsea.
What about Declan Rice, Ian? That move hasn't...
He didn't play.
Are you sure? That move hasn't gone through yet. What do you think the hold-up is?
I don't think there's anything wrong in terms of, I don't think, you know, we're going to suddenly be reporting on the move collapsing. From what I understood, and, you know, I was at the Bournemouth West Ham game on Monday. From what I understand, it's just a few I's and T's that are, you know, waiting to be dotted and crossed by the lawyers and on the contract. I mean, you know, I think everything should go through. I would have expected to go through by now, if I'm absolutely honest, but I really don't see there being that much of a problem in terms of the transfer eventually going through. I don't think Arsenal fans need to worry. I think West Ham are maybe getting a little bit frustrated because obviously they can't go out and spend the money at the moment. You know, they want the money so they can go out and, you know, reinvigorate their squad, which are currently in Australia ahead of their first or their second pre-season game against Perth Glory in Perth on Saturday. So I think West Ham would like the money, you know, and the transfer to go through as soon as possible. Arsenal would like the transfer to go through as soon as possible, so they know if they've got a player. But he's been training on his own on holiday in Portugal. I really don't see there being a problem long term in this going through and being done and dusted.
Like you say, the frustrations perhaps is on West Ham's side of things, and maybe because it's impacting their transfer activity. But they have been linked with James Ward-Prowse. Does he fit at the London Stadium for you?
Yeah, he does. And I was chatting to somebody last weekend who was quite confident that West Ham were going to get James Ward-Prowse. I have to say I don't quite share that degree of confidence. You know, I'm kind of like thinking half that Ward-Prowse will stay at Southampton and half that he might well move to West Ham. I think if it happens, it'd be a really good move. But he's, West Ham can't do anything right now until they've actually got the money in the bank. That's the problem that they face. So, they want the deal to go through. The player wants the deal to go through. Arsenal want the deal to go through. As I say, I'm not quite sure why it's taken so long for the lawyers to draw up the contract, and that's what I understand it to be. I don't understand it. I don't think it's been, from what I understand, there's been no problem in the medical. There's been no problem with anything, in terms of the deal. So, quite why it is taking so long, or it's taken so long, when probably it should have been over the line by last weekend, is anybody's guess. But I don't see there being, a situation when we're reporting on there being any kind of, collapse in the transfer. It will happen. He will become an Arsenal player, and it will happen probably, if not by this weekend, then probably early stages next week, I would guess.
Ian, thank you. Probably another Boreham Wood friendly to head to, by the sound of it. West Ham and Brentford both taking that side on this week in pre-season matches. 03717 223344. That's the number for you to call us on should you wish to get involved in our conversation about Jordan Henderson. Should he take the money and move to Saudi Arabia, as it has been reported this morning, suggesting that he is interested, or should he stay and fight for his place in the Liverpool and England team? We're taking your calls on that.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.